This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. The Outdoor Journey Show with Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan, brought to you by Journey Hunts and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Welcome to the Outdoor Journey Show. It's Matt Gaddis, Ty Morgan here with you. And, today we were talking about, we've had many different outfits on, things like that. What about the guy that wants to go it alone?
Yeah, that's a growing segment in the outdoor industry, really, is the do-it-yourself hunter. I mean, there are magazines dedicated to it, TV shows dedicated to it. It really has become a big segment of the population. And many people, rightly so, have taken great pride in doing it yourself, from the research to the animal to getting out there to the harvest. It's cool. It's definitely
growing
a good deal.
up in Montana, for me, again, I go back to that. I mean, that's all I ever knew.
Right.
And I think since I've met you, I've been more educated on, like Journey Hunts, that helps you put these packages together, which I think is great for, people wanting to do these bigger hunts and these exotic hunts, because you don't know these things. But growing up that way, it was like, okay, we did have to do the research. We did have to go out and check things out and find out exactly what it was going to take to hunt that animal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in my early hunting career back in Pennsylvania, it was the same thing. Yeah. We just hunted on public land or private land of friends, but there was never the concept of a guided hunt. Yeah. In fact, it wasn't until, maybe 9 years ago, 10 years ago, that I came out here on my first guided hunt.
Well, and it changes a whole perspective. Certainly there is a ton of positives for a guided hunt.
Yep.
Your guarantees or your percentage of success certainly go up.
Right.
But do it yourself, there's a lot of victories that can be won on that backside as well.
No doubt. And I think that's where I take issue in our industry, where I don't think we're always very smart in the outdoor industry. There are guys who live to do do-it-yourself hunts. And man, I appreciate that. Probably 50% of my hunting is still do-it-yourself.
Right.
But 50% of it is outfitted, And I think what we have to stop doing is drawing lines in the sand within our outdoor industry, because there's some do-it-yourself guys today who are just like, if you don't do it by yourself, you're kind of, you're a lower tier hunter.
Right.
You're not as good. And that just brings damage and breaks us down rather than unifying us, so that when those attacks of the antis come, we're united. We stand together. So
one side or the other should all be the same.
Exactly.
Choose your side, but because at some point, in some way, if ever, I think for a lot of those do-it-yourselfers, there may come an opportunity of a lifetime, and we had on the show the leopard hunt.
Absolutely.
Those once in a lifetime that, you're kind of going to need to be in that situation, or you're not getting one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that do-it-yourselfer might have a change of heart.
Yeah, you're not hunting a leopard without a professional hunter with you. That isn't happening. It's illegal, actually. So, no, that's a good call. Do-it-yourself hunting, Ty. You and I grew up doing that, or at least as we hunted, we did that. There's a lot that goes into it. You have to start by picking a species. Right. What do you want to hunt? Do you want to hunt elk, mule deer, mountain goat? What do you want to hunt? Do you want to hunt red stag? What is it that you want to hunt?
Right.
And, we always think about that being limited to North America, really, and the North American species, but it's really around the globe. There's opportunities to hunt all kinds of different animals in different places. So you got to pick that species. You have to see and educate yourself. How did others do this? How did other people approach this? What did they do? Did they have success? Didn't they? Then you've got to learn habitats of these animals, learn their movements. Right. A lot of stuff we talk about pretty regularly on here. And then really learning that animal. What am I looking for? Is this a meat hunt? Is this more of a trophy hunt? What am I really trying to accomplish? So great effort that goes into it.
Start with a plan.
Yes.
That's a big thing. Can't just jump out of the truck and go for broke. I mean, you can.
Yep.
But your success rate could be a lot lower.
It is a lot lower. And it's good, again, coming back to a mentor. It's good if you can get hooked up with somebody who has done that hunt. Like when I draw a tag in a different state, not in Colorado, when I draw a tag in a different state, the first thing I do is try and look up, and it's always accessible. You can find it. I look up everybody who's hunted that tag in the last 2 years, and I call them.
Right.
I just start talking to these guys. Hey, what did you do? What did you see? How'd you do?
Everybody wants to share a hunting story.
And they do, because on tags that are draw tags, they know it might be 8, 10, 12, 15 years till they get it again. So they're not as concerned about you hunting it next year.
Right.
Now some of the do-it-yourself area and some of the guys that are dedicated to that, they want to keep those little honey holes a little bit more private. They don't want people to know. So,
well, just a real quick thing. You mentioned the mentors. I think even a do-it-yourselfer, in a sense, may not be paying for a guide, but if you're getting a mentor, that's the same thing. You're talking to someone who's taken to an area. Hopefully, they'll take you to their special area.
Yep.
That's the same as a guided hunt.
Absolutely.
You you just got the luck of the draw and didn't have to pay for that. And
Right.
So do-it-yourselfer is still pretty close neck and neck.
It is, and that's why there doesn't need to be a breakdown or a line drawn in the sand between the two. Let people, I'm a big fan of let people choose their preferences.
Right.
As long as it's legal and as long as it's, for the greater good of conservation, which our title sponsor, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, continually speaks to conservation. As long as we're accomplishing those things, let people have their preferences.
Absolutely.
And their preference doesn't have to be mine.
That's right.
It's okay.
Exactly.
It's all right. So in the West, you get this do-it-yourselfer. They pick the species, say they want to hunt here elk in the West. Then it starts really by getting in shape. So many guys that come out here from the East come out here and just haven't really worked on the physical side of a do-it-yourself hunt. You don't come from sea level
and expect to have a good hunt up here.
Yeah.
Not without catching a few breaths.
No,
big ones.
No. And that's why, again, another guest that we've had on here with Wilderness Athlete with that altitude advantage, huge supplement to really consider. So you get into shape. You in the West, you've got to put in for points. There's very few areas. Colorado, we're blessed here. There's a lot of ground to hunt that is not a preference point necessary area. It's over the counter. But in other states, it's not always that way. And so you've got to know the game. You've got to put in points, and know how many points it's going to take you to draw it so you can build your long-term calendar. And then you have to prepare by having the right equipment, and practicing with it. I can't tell you how many times on the other side of the house where I've been out and guiding for a local outfitter, and a guy will show up and I'm like, "Where's your gun sighted in at?" He's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean? Well, I just bought it. I never shot it. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" But it happens.
Well, and I think too on that same, each level you talked about just was starting with education. There's education on every steps. We had the gentleman who made firearms. Talked about shooting at different elevations. Everything's different. What's shooting at sea level is going to be a lot different at our elevation.
Absolutely.
So education.
Absolutely. And that's going to be the case in everything, And like when my buddies come out and they just come out and they want to go out and hunt on their own, and almost all my friends that come out from Pennsylvania go on their own. They just they don't hire an outfitter. They go on their own. First thing they do when they get here after getting settled in is they shoot their guns. Yeah. Because you just need to do that. I don't go anywhere on a trip and not draw my bow and shoot my bow before going out. It's very important. Things change.
Yep. Everything changes.
I don't know. Every time I go to Africa, I don't know why it happens, but every time I go to Africa, I get my bow out and it shoots low and left almost every single time.
Really?
So I just have to make a slight adjustment on my
bouncy
overall
planes
sight.
I
don't know. Not in that Lakewood case. That Lakewood Products case protects it, but really, I think I don't know. Maybe it's southern hemisphere. I don't know. Toilets go the opposite direction, so maybe my bow does.
Might
I don't know.
have something to do with it.
I don't know. You have to also maximize your time. I think that's the other key. When you get to the place you're going, you got to maximize your time for success. Time spent in the field, I believe, is the key ingredient to differentiate between the guy who's successful in a harvest and the guy who's not. There's a lot of good hunters who go out there and they've done their homework, they've done their work, they got good equipment, and they don't harvest because they've got 3 days to hunt.
Right.
That guy who has 10, 12, 15 days, whatever the season is, they're going to have a greater percentage of success.
Absolutely.
So really important. So
good stuff out there, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Now, is it time to go to the email bag?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's check out here. This is the Hunter's Bag, where the question of the week comes, and brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. This comes from John. He asks how he might be able to find a career in the outdoor industry.
Well, that's a very, again, broad question, but boy, you just got to get in contact with the right people. Right. It's just like any other industry. It's a who you know industry. And, for my break into the industry came through really, I wrote and shot video reviews for the products I loved long before I was sponsored by any of those companies. That was how I entered in. There's many different avenues to enter in. If you want to go and become a guide or an outfitter, well, then go to a school like the Colorado Outdoor Adventure Guide School, guideschool.com, and get your education that way. If you want to get out there and just maybe become an outfitter in your home state or your home area, get educated. Look what other people have done. Right. Do your research. But again, it really comes down to a lot of who you know, and so you've got to get to know people somehow.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for your question, John. Of course, we've got a special knife from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Once again, if you got an email Matt@JourneyHunts.com. Coming up, we're going to be chatting with a gentleman that knows a little bit about do-it-yourself hunts in our next segment, and that's more to come.
Alrighty.
This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors.